Hello everybody, you're listening to Alfred's American News Updates. Alfred's American News Updates is brought to you by Alfred and Friends. Alfred and Friends is an international conglomerate that owns and invests in a large variety of companies all around the world. For more information on how you can invest in Alfred and Friends, go to alfredandfriends.com. The updates I would like to give you now is on the fact that studies are showing that a lot of Americans who were born between the mid-90s and the early 2000s, that is the Generation Z as they are called, they are now ditching universities and going to trade schools. The reason why they are not going to universities and rather going to trade schools is because of student loans. Their parents, who are millennials and the generation before that, are still owing and paying off student loans. So imagine a situation where your parents is still paying off his school fees of university because he basically went to university on credits as an American. So imagine that situation where your parents are still paying their own school fees from university that they are owing the school, and now you as a child has now grown and graduated from high school. Now you are looking at it, are you going to enter college and be like your parents? And so your parents will now, in addition to them paying off their students' loans for going to university on credits, they now have to pay your own. And is that cycle going to continue? So it becomes a big financial problem. I have said it before and it is clear. The educational system of America, and this is the problem with free things. When the government gives you something for free, it is not free. You see, when the government gives you something for free, it's actually not free. It's actually better that they didn't give it to you for free. You see, and this situation, I do not blame the children of this generation that are doing this thing, because it is funny. Who wants to be in that situation where if they do this, that means when they actually at their parents' age, their own children and them, they will be paying for their own school fees and in college, and also for their children's school fees in college. You see, and then their children will inherit debt. So it is just poverty. Basically, they are living life on credits and they have to keep making these payments and keep making these payments and keep making these payments. Now, the issue with such plans is that when this generation of Americans are dishing universities for trade schools, you have to understand that trade schools are geared towards middle class jobs, low income jobs and middle income jobs, blue collar jobs. That is where trade schools really focus. But the good thing about trade schools is that it focuses on the skill, and that is actually what you need. That is what employers really hire, and that is what is actually required to produce results, just the skill. But however, you cannot graduate from a trade school and expect to work in a prestigious bank on Wall Street and all of that. So this creates a huge problem for the future of America. Some governments are responding to this by investing in trade schools. However, that will only mean that the school fees and the price of going to trade schools will increase. If the government keeps investing and in the states keeps investing in trade schools to let them match the standards of the universities, then that will also increase the school fees. So it defeats the point. Now, a lot of people has also brought up the bright side. The bright side is that with people going to trade schools and dishing universities, now there will be a generation that are less left-leaning unlike the millennial generation. Abraham Lincoln once said that the mindset of a classroom in one generation is the mindset of the nation in the next. And that is very true. And naturally, the leftists and the globalists and a lot of Democrats have used that strategy. And that is why the universities has been one of the key places where people bring in indoctrination of anti-God teachings, anti-God values, and all this white people are bad, white people are terrible, and America is an evil place that terrorizes people and does bad things. All those kind of ideologies stem from universities. That is where it is a boiling point for those ideologies. I mean, where did Antifa start? It started in a university. All the universities are the places where people go with radical ideas to indoctrinate people, and the leftists and those who are left-leaning have really done a fascinating job there. And that is why you can see the millennial generation the way they are. It's because of all this programming and all of this indoctrination that has gone on through the universities. However, the leftists left out the trade schools. So now, if people are going to trade schools and are not going to universities, their beliefs will reflect the beliefs of their parents. Their beliefs will reflect the beliefs of the people they have around them, not the beliefs of the school. Because in the trade school, the trade schools have not been infiltrated, and it is not based on politics, and they do not teach politics ideologies, and all the social justice warrioring and all of that has not dominated it. So on the bright side, people going to trade schools and teaching universities will mean that there will now be a fresh generation that is free from all this madness of social justice warrior and all this feminist nonsense and all this LGBT nonsense, and saying that there are more than two genders and all that kind of nonsense, you see. So that is one thing. However, you must look and take note of something else. Yes, it is true that all these ideologies are not in trade schools, but with an entire generation increasingly leaving the idea of going to universities because it is too expensive and going to trade schools. Right now the count is about 22%. Now that is large and it's only going to grow. So it's 2% of high school graduates are not going to university, they are going to trade schools. You see, by doing that, also keep in mind that those who put their ideologies and work so hard to make sure that people graduate from universities with their ideologies, they will now start moving into trade schools. So at the end of the day, what is the solution? There are two things that you can do, because also going to trade schools means that you are sacrificing very high incomes and very high paying jobs, because you are going to a school that can only at best produce you being efficient at middle class jobs and things of that nature. But there's more to it. If you want to still be an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur or a productive person does not depend on your degrees and all of that. However, there are certain things that require certain degrees that can only be given or are best given by certain institutions. Like, for example, a doctorate degree or a medical degree, or a degree that is required for you to run a multinational bank. It's best that you have a degree from a prestigious university rather than from a trade school. You see, if you are seeking a job in those fields, if you want to be a pilot and things of that nature, you want to build planes, there are certain things that people are forgoing by choosing not to go to universities and going to trade schools. However, let me just share with you two solutions. The first one is for you to school outside America. You see, there are a lot of universities outside America that the school fees are quite normal and are actually less than the American trade school universities. Due to a lot of reasons, people have seen American universities as a way to make money. And thanks to the fact that the government subsidizes and the government has this program in America where people who are Americans can go to university on credits, and thanks to the student loans, later pay back the money when they have gotten jobs. Then from the money from the job, they pay back the money that's they owe the school from going to school for free. That kind of setting, which is powered by the government, which enables them, has created a market where a lot of universities, the prices of school fees kept rising, because technically it is the government that is paying the university. Then at the end of the day, the government is getting the money back from the person that graduates when they have a new job and all of that, or they spend their whole life paying back the student loans. Whenever they pay it, it's up to them, you see. So you can see that it creates a situation where the university feels like it has endless funds. So it stretches the price of tuition and the cost of tuition. It can stretch it to whatever limit, because it's the government that has its back, and the government is going to dish out the money, and then the money is going to later come back into the system from after that person graduates and gets a job. Then that person will keep making payments for the student loans and all of that, for all that student owes. So that is actually a terrible plan, and a plan that no nation should copy. So keep that in mind. That situation making school fees so high, like I've said, the solution is to go outside America. Americans naturally love America, but at this point now, it's better for you to get a university degree outside America. There are schools in Europe, there are schools in India, there are schools in even Africa, you see, that are quality schools. There are schools in Dubai, there are schools in Arabia, there are schools in different parts of the world that are actually standard and are actually up to par in the course that you wish to pursue. So the time has come where Americans need to start traveling outside their country for education so that they can get education cheaper. I know they are used to every other nation coming to their country. Even back in the day, kings and leaders of nations and princes and all of that went to Europe or America to study. But now, because of this, as the cost of higher education is what it is in the best interest for Americans. If you are in that situation, start thinking of leaving America, because you are an American citizen. You see, that they cannot take away from you. All you have to do is do your research and find out more about universities in other nations and look for something that is cheap. You will even find something that is a lot cheaper than trade schools, you see. So that's where you can still have that quality education and that degree, and you will not be limited to blue collar jobs. That's is mostly what you can get out of trade schools. That is one option. Another solution and another option is more of a long-term solution, and it's will require Alfred and friends getting involved on a large global scale, and you working hand in hand with us, and even those who are not in school, or those who do not have children that are in school. And it has to be with, number one, changing the mentality of people of the world at large, and number two, creating online schools that are 100% online, creating universities that are 100% online, creating high schools that are 100% online, creating homeschooling curriculums that parents can use and teach their kids, and also it's automated and it's also linked with online with the way the world is online. So even via virtual reality goggles and via just the internet, people's cell phones and things like that, you can go to school. So all you need to do is download an app to go to school, you see, and your teacher is there. You have your set time that you log in, you discuss with your teacher, and you learn, you read, you are given assignments and everything like that. And of course, it's supervised by your parents or by your guidance when you are younger, perhaps for the version of the app or the system that is for kids and those in junior high and below. But when you get to senior high, you can manage it yourself, and then even university. Because you see, the truth of the matter is, there is nothing that a teacher can tell you in a classroom that you can learn in a classroom that the teacher cannot also tell you, and you cannot learn from the teacher via Skype or via an app, that you can physically see the teacher and the teacher can communicate with you. We now have group conference calls on a lot of apps. So education is now possible 100% via an app or via the internet and all of that. And these systems being brought up can now bring down the cost of education to zero. You know, the point is that it can be super affordable now, and it's a matter of all you need is the smartphone that you already have, and download the app. With this now, this eliminates a lot of costs of universities, higher institutions, and all of that. So it creates a situation where there's no student loans, there are no high school fees, and a lot of programs and a lot of things like that will be free. As a matter of fact, even if it means playing ads or running ads at certain intervals in between the app or in between lectures that the person is listening to or participating in the group conference between teachers and students, even if it means running ads and those ads being used to cover the cost of the entire ecosystem, that will make it free, and that is better. Think about it, because at the end of the day, we still see ads. So, and there are a lot of other things that can be done. So this is something that Alfred and Friends is going to look into, and this will change the whole world and the whole idea of education. Of course, these systems has to create schools that are accredited by the government and respected by the government, so that they can also have the power and the respect that even an institution like Harvard and Yale has. So that is the second option and the second solution. You see, for more information on this and for how we can work together and how you can invest in Alfred and Friends, go to alfredandfriends.com. So that is it for today, and that is the updates I have to give you right now. Thank you and God bless you.